Matter of Considerable Importance, A Safe Haven Orphanage Mystery by Patricia Asedegbega. Series Finale. You can go in, madam. The secretary had to repeat herself before Gloria Olotu became aware that she was being addressed. The woman was still going over Nick's story from the previous day. She had barely registered the presence of 6 other adults in the room who had gotten up a few moments before her. Inside the large office were 4 boys in uniform and 1 girl. Apart from Nick, they were all looking very subdued and looking everywhere else but at the adults who had come in. The principal had a very stern look on her face, and Gloria sensed that she was a woman one did not dare cross, and that every student did his or her best not to get called into her office. She once again uttered a silent prayer of thanks that Nick was not in trouble. "Madam, why are we here?" one of the suited men asked, tapping his foot on the floor as he addressed the principal. "I had to make up an excuse to my boss. He doesn't like us taking personal time off. I can't stay for more than a few minutes, as you kept us waiting outside for quite some time." The principal looked at him from above the rim of her glasses. Gloria Olotu thought that that was not a good sign, but the man did not read between the lines and continued glaring at her. "Mr. O'Doon," the principal replied, "you had better make time for this. All the children in this office, with the exception of Nicholas, the first boy on the right, are thieves, and I have just signed their expulsion letters." The 6 adults exclaimed in shock, and one of the women put her hands on her head. "Samson, what have you done? Ah, this will be the end of me. Please, madam, forgive him. Don't expel him." The woman knelt down to beg the principal, whose facial expression had not changed. "No, madam. You must have made a mistake. My son is not a thief. He was probably implicated by the other criminals in the making. You can't expel my son. I won't allow it. What proof do you have? Woman, will you stop begging? You are admitting to something, and you haven't even heard the full story yet." Mr. O'Doon continued speaking in the same loud tone and insulting manner, ignoring his wife's pleading. At that moment, a tall and plump woman opened the door and entered the room, panting and sweating. "Good afternoon, madam. I'm sorry I'm late. I heard the raised voices even as I was rushing down the corridor. What has my niece done this time? Janene, explain yourself." The girl in question looked away and refused to answer. "Mr. O'Doon, if you don't address me with the respect my position requires, I won't even bother giving you an explanation," the principal said. "This is the last day of school for your son. You can take it up with the board, though I can tell you what their position will be. We have a zero-tolerance policy here. Do you see everything on that table? They are stolen goods that your son and his friends were selling to students in school after robbing them from others. Some of those items are prohibited in these premises, and there's a penalty for any student in whose possession they are found. Your son is one of the ringleaders, and we have a written confession from him. We do not tolerate this kind of behavior in the school, so be grateful that they are being expelled without us involving the police." The 2 other women had joined Samson's mother on their knees, and one of them pleadingly addressed the principal. "Ah, please, madam, at least consider suspension first. We're near the exams. Please punish them in other ways. Don't expel them." "Teresa, how many times did I tell you? Can you see how your son has disgraced us?" one of the other men demanded angrily before turning to his son. "Look, I don't harbor thieves under my roof, Ojo, so you better find where you're going to live from now on. Is this the career you want to build for yourself? You will have to do it so far from me and my house." He turned around, and his wife put her hands on her head. "Can you see what happens when you refuse to correct this boy? Always pleading on his behalf. Now, see where you find yourself, pleading again. Teresa, let's go. He continued addressing her in the same tone as she started to weep. Oh, you're crying now? Okay, stay there and cry. You have 4 other children, but this one can't come back to my house. Gloria observed the adults, shocked by their reaction. Mr. O'Doone was still repeating that his son had been framed, and the other man was almost out the door. Tears were running down Ojo's face. He probably knew that his father was very capable of carrying out his threat. Chinene, so this is what you've managed to do in the months you've spent in Lagos? This was supposed to be a fresh start for you. So all the things I was seeing you with weren't gifts that your friends from school were giving you? I can't cope with this. Tomorrow you will return to your mother. She'll have to sort herself out in a new marriage in city. Every day it's a different story with you. I didn't sign up for this headache. The girl's expression did not change upon hearing that she would be returned to her mother, who Gloria guessed had sent her daughter away so she could settle down in her new life. She looked at everyone like they were actors playing out a scene. Nick had told her all about them, so she was trying to match each character to the part they played. The tall man who had not spoken yet addressed the principal. Madam, let them take their exams, please. We'll pay damages or restitution. Anything you decide we will do. Meanwhile, one of the women got up and walked towards the table to get a better look at the mountain of confiscated goods. Grabbing hold of the ear of one of the boys, who Gloria assumed was her son, she put him in front of the principal. Ayo, you're still standing instead of begging like your mother and father. This is your future you're playing with. This will go on your record. Which school will receive you with open arms now? If I open my eyes and see you are still standing... The boy did not wait for her to finish the sentence and join the 2 other women. Mr. O'Doone continued ranting. See, you people are delusional. My son was coerced into confessing. We won't agree to the expulsion. I will call my lawyers and we will end your career as a principal. You are drunk with power, believing you can do and undo as you please. The principal ignored him and busied herself making a phone call. A few minutes later, 2 male teachers walked in. One of them was dressed in a jumpsuit, and Gloria guessed that he was the PE teacher. This young man, Nicholas, was the one who uncovered all that has been happening, and he was brave enough not to keep quiet about it. Mr. Badmus, the PE teacher, and Mr. Adet, the math teacher, will explain what was going on so everyone understands the gravity of the situation. Mr. O'Doone, feel free to call all the lawyers you know. Your son will not set another foot in this school. His offense is even worse because he is a senior prefect. Aside from trafficking stolen goods, he was also bullying junior students and taking their lunch money from them. Believe me, there are a lot of children still writing their testimonies at this very moment. You're free to contest my decision, but you'll have to fight a whole mountain of evidence and a good number of angry parents who are just finding out that he made their children go hungry, and that is only the tip of the iceberg. The teacher in the jumpsuit produced a plastic bag full of money, put it on the table, and continued with the narrative the principal had started. Chinene, thinking the boys would not be brave enough to approach a teacher and ask her to confirm her alibi, involved one of our staff in her scheme. Nick's math set was stolen, and she encouraged them to investigate the theft. After meeting with Samson, Nicholas discovered that the set being offered to him was his own. He went along with his class prefect and they spoke to the teacher, who denied asking Chinene to buy her some snacks at the time his things were stolen, so he explained everything that had been happening. Mrs. Allaby called us, and after hearing the story, we summoned Chinene and Timi, who gave up their accomplice, Samson. Madam, Your niece, aside from becoming an agent in the short while she has been in this school, also steals money from students, at least from Kachi, another of her classmates. Finally, they both confessed and named Ayo and Ojo amongst others. We recovered all these items from hideouts they pointed us to, as well as the money. The principal has refused to involve the police. I will respect her wishes, but left to me, they would all be giving their statements at the station. On hearing those words, Samson's father gave his son a not-so-friendly pat on the head. Why would you confess? Don't you know you have to deny till the end? What's wrong with you? Mr. O'Doone asked his son in anger. His wife shook her head, her hands still joined together in pleading. He turned to Nicholas. And you? If they steal your math set, you move on. Can't you see that thanks to you 4 students are being expelled? Are you happy now? It was at that point that Gloria Alotu saw red and faced the man squarely. Mr. O'Doone, or whatever you are called, you don't seem to understand the trouble your son is in, but seeing the way you have comported yourself, one can't expect anything more from you. I now understand how a good number of politicians we have were brought up. Look at all your son did, under the protection that his badge afforded him. Are those values you want him to have? To take things that don't belong to him? To lie, to treat other people and their property with such disrespect? Do you want to visit Samson in jail? How can any responsible parent look at that table and feel anything but shame? Answer me. The man was quiet for a moment, looking her up and down with disdain. I know who you are, that woman from the orphanage. You think you can come and give me life lessons? How do you think all those children you're spending all you have on will repay you? What future awaits them? He shook his head and hissed, looking away, but Gloria was not finished. You speak about my family like it's something I should be ashamed of. On the contrary, I'm proud of each and every one of my children. I did not give birth to them, but they're gifts all the same, and today Nick has made me feel very proud. Do you think it was easy walking up to a teacher to tell her what had happened to him, and that he knew who it was? It wasn't. But that is the society I want to live in, one in which children are taught to tell the truth. His uniform might be worn and rugged. His shoes have holes, and when it rains, his feet get soaked. His books are old and inherited. All my children inherit things, and some have problems. They come with difficult stories, things that are hard to push aside in order to go on with life. But my life started after I became a widow. When the first boy was left with a note at my doorstep. I will spend every breath in me making sure that they become outstanding members of society, not because of what they have, but because of who they are. Mr. O'Doone, it is not how you start, it is how you finish. She turned to the principal. Madam, please don't expel them. You can see what some of them are dealing with at home. You're an educator. I've heard excellent things about you, so don't send them away. Don't close the doors of this school behind them. The principal looked at them all and was silent for a moment. This is your first and last warning. You will be on suspension from classes until the exams, but you will come to school every day and cut the overgrown elephant grass and also work on the school farm. If you are on your best behavior, and I receive positive reports from the teacher supervising your punishments, I will let you come back next term. Have I made myself clear? Yes, madam. Thank you, madam. Won't you say thank you? Ayo got what no one could describe as a light pat on the head from his father, and he quickly complied. All the parents, with the exception of Mr. O'Doone, thanked the principal, promising to make sure the culprits were on their best behavior. Gloria and Nicholas crossed the car park, walking slowly. You know, I have some money for an ice cream. She winked at the boy, whose face lit up as he nodded eagerly. She embraced him, swelling with pride. These were the moments she lived for. They did not come often, but they showed her that she was doing something right. Her Nick had been noticed by the principal and would surely be considered for the post of a school prefect in his final year. One day he would be a leader, one who did things properly. The woman continued walking, lost in thought. "Hey, what are you doing? No, don't get in my car. Ojo, did you not hear me say that you were not coming into my house?" Gloria Alotu walked towards them. The mother was pleading with her husband, who seemed about to drive off. "Papa Ojo, calm down. Does he look like someone that's proud of what he did? You have already expressed your disapproval, and the school has punished them, so allow the boy to go home. In my car." The man shook his head, and Gloria, knowing that it was probably not a good idea, looked at the boy and sighed. "Mama Ojo, he can come home with me, and you can come for him in a few days." She looked at the woman, who returned her gaze gratefully. Papa Ojo needed a few days to calm down. There was not enough money in her purse for 3 ice creams, but she would get 3 cobs of roasted corn from the roadside seller. Who knew? She might well be walking with the future president and vice president of the country. In life one could stumble, fall even. The important thing was to keep getting up. A few days later, Nicholas and Kachi approached the figure who was hard at work, weeding between 2 rows of corn. It was a hot day, and they felt no envy for the students serving their punishments on the school farm. "You owe me my lunch money plus interest," were the words Kachi offered in form of greeting. The girl turned around, hoe in hand, and squinted at the 2 boys. "You see that stone over there? Pick it up and squeeze it. If water comes out, you'll get your money. Thanks to your interference, I'll never get pocket money again," Chinene replied. "Am I supposed to feel sorry for you? I don't care where you get it from. I want my money. Nick, did I or did I not dislike this girl from the beginning? I should have trusted my instincts," Kachi stated in annoyance. The girl cracked up at his words. "Oh, I needed some comic relief today. If we're all here, it wasn't thanks to you, Kachi. Do you know how easy it was for me to take the money from you? But as you decided to walk into the land of the unfortunate, you might as well clear some doubts I have. Nick, when did you start suspecting me?" "I didn't at first. I have to admit that. You were very helpful. In retrospect, it was evident that you were just making sure that your tracks were well covered. Well, it was when I saw the rulers and recognized them as mine. There were remnants of the sticky tape, and then I suddenly had this idea. The tape was quite old, so it tore when I tried to write my name, and it was evident that something happened when it was taken off. I imagined that the person that took it had to remove my name quickly. Of course, there was the possibility that it hadn't happened in class, but the culprit would probably not want to be caught with any proof. I went back to the class and started searching for pieces of the tape, and found a bit, with some letters of my name trapped between your desk and the metal tube of its legs. Then Deborah came rushing into the class, and from where I was standing, I saw that things could not have happened like you said they had. I rushed out and found the bit of eraser next to the window by your seat. So all I had to do was check out your alibi, and..." The girl clapped and made a curt bow. "The only thing I don't understand is why," Nicholas said. "You just got to school, so it's not like these people were your friends. Was it for the money? What does it matter why she did it? She's a thief. One does not need more motivation when one does not respect other people's property, Kachi replied, visibly still upset at the loss of his lunch money. It looked like she was considering whether to reply or not, and finally decided to. I was part of a similar setup in my old school, so it wasn't hard. Asking the right questions to the right students and becoming part of the gang here. If I got in trouble, I would probably be sent back home. That was the plan. But then, after meeting Kachi, I decided not to allow myself to get caught on this occasion. But did it work? Are they sending you back home? Nicholas asked. No. All I got was punishment at school and more punishment at home, and my mother telling me that she can't handle any more problems at the moment. Nicholas looked at the small piles of weeds that the girl had made from all she had cleared. He hesitated for a moment, wondering whether to be silent or not, and then decided to speak because he did not want to be the kind of person who would opt for silence. If I were you, I'd do a better job of getting rid of the corn plants that I assume you cut by mistake. I can still see the leaves, and you know how Mr. Ikpe feels about his crops. One negative strike and... At those words, the two boys walked away. Nicholas did not feel particularly victorious after speaking to the girl. It was evident that she had acted out, yet nobody was listening to her cry for help. He shook his head, thinking that people labeled the children of the orphanage as problematic, but he was grateful for the lioness who had taken him in, and who fiercely defended her cubs from getting hurt with every weapon she had. To stay up to date with Patricia Asedegbega's work, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications.